Right now on WRAL News, team coverage of the developing situation in Paris.
I'm Deborah Morgan on assignment in Paris. Today, the city is trying to return to a sense of normalcy. Coming up, we tell you how people here are trying to make sure the terrorists don't win. It's late at night, and yet still many people continue to come to memorials like this. It's very quiet here, very somber. This is where people are coming to mourn. They are told to stay in their homes, but they can't. They need to come here to share together their emotions of the day. One by one, they're coming with flowers and candles, adding to the ever-growing memorial. Quietly, they share tears, hugs, and prayers on this painful day. They may be strangers, but it's important to the people here to let the world know they are Paris strong.
It's very important to share with people that we are all together. Even if we don't know each other, it's very important because we are all French and all human.
I think that people are, as me, hurt and very emotional. People have been killed, innocent people.
This gathering is just about 2 blocks from the Bataclan concert hall, the scene of the most deadly attack. The road is closed. Armed officers are standing guard as investigators comb through what's been described as carnage. So, angry and sad, the people come here to show support the only way they can.
I'm 16 and I can't give my blood because I'm too young. And yeah, I'm really mad at it because I really want to help. So the only thing I can do is coming here and pray for them, and that's the only thing I can do.
The man I spoke with said he wanted to remain anonymous because he says the victims are anonymous. And he said he wants to stand together with those victims, the innocent lives the terrorists took. In Paris, Deborah Morgan, WRAL News.
Today in Paris, thousands of people stopped to honor the lives of the 129 people killed and the hundreds more who were injured in Friday's attacks. France is under a state of emergency that could last for the next 3 months.
Many return to work, but there is still such a sense of sadness and uncertainty. Deborah Morgan joins us live now from Paris. Deborah, I can't even imagine. What are you feeling there today?
Definitely very somber here yet again today, Linda. And as you see behind me, this is the Plaza de République where this massive memorial is set up. It is raining now, and yet still people are coming here in droves to pay tribute to the victims. There is a sense of unease here in Paris, but also a sense of determination. People just walked by me singing a song. They're very strong here. Today, we talked with 3 young women from our area about how they're dealing with the attacks that happened so close to where they live. The sounds of sirens permeate Paris, not uncommon for a big city. But now people stop to wonder where they're going. Has there been another attack?
When you're hearing that all the time, it's kind of a constant reminder of why they're around, of why there are so many sirens going around right now.
The sirens are at once reassuring of the increase in security, yet still scary for Emily Jackson and her friends Camille Souter and Maggie Lombardo. They are all from Chapel Hill and now live in Paris.
Of course, like my friends and I sort of joked about it, like, oh, we should go home now. So, no, I don't want to leave yet. I feel like we have enough support and the security has been, you know, fine.
Like on a daily basis, I'm not scared. Like I'm not worried about taking the metro or the bus or anything. I think what scares me is just in like the grander scheme of things, just this type of extremism.
These 3 friends were celebrating Camille's birthday near the Bataclan concert hall the weekend before the attacks. It's the place to be for the younger crowd, an area of popular night spots and restaurants. They are so thankful they didn't go out this past Friday night.
I have like friends of friends who didn't make it, so it makes me feel very, very lucky that we chose to stay in that night.
For me, I'm a young person. Like that's something that I could very easily have been doing on Friday night. I mean, luckily I wasn't. So that's what makes me nervous, like just that you never know.
And because of the randomness of the attacks, they feel whether this happened in Paris or Chapel Hill, it keeps you on guard no matter where you live.
And people are reacting the same way I would imagine that people at home would react, like not wanting to completely stop their lives, but at the same time taking extra precautions because we just don't know what's going to happen next.
You can't be scared.
Yeah.
You can't say, like, I'm not going to go out tonight because something could happen.
But it's definitely in the back of your mind, like sort of a hypervigilance.
Now, the young ladies told me all to a T that social media has really helped them keep in touch with their families back at home, especially once the attacks happened. Social media had a safety check site set up so you were able to say that you were okay, and many families really relied on that to be able to get the first word about their loved ones here in Paris. Coming up tonight at 5 o'clock, we're going to talk about how the city is trying to return to a sense of normalcy.
The Eiffel Tower reopened to Visitors Day and people return to work.
WRAL's Deborah Morgan joins us live from Paris tonight. Deborah, obviously they want normalcy, but it's going to be a long time before they feel that.
David, it certainly will be, but you do get the feeling that at least people are so determined here to make that happen. Schools were back in class today. Businesses were back open. A lot of the tourist attractions and some parks remain closed. The city is still in a sense of mourning. And as a matter of fact, it's still a state of emergency where people are actually asked not to come outside. But the people here are determined not to let the terrorists win. The sounds of Paris are peaceful on this Monday. The city and its people are trying to get back to normal. Streets are full. Tourists still come to the iconic Paris landmark even though it's closed. The pictures at the Eiffel Tower are full of love and laughs. The Cruz family is from Connecticut but lives in China. They were in the air on the way to Paris for a vacation when the attacks happened. Like many others, they decided to stay.
It is a little bit disconcerting at times, but also, too, I think things can always happen, whether something just happened a few days ago or not. It's always important to be vigilant, but also to enjoy your life.
When I opened my doorway, my building, and everything was covered in blood.
Fashion photographer Victor BOYKO of Moscow has an apartment near the Bataclan. He's sitting in this cafe, one of the people determined not to let the terrorists win.
The aim is not to kill 100 people. The aim is to make 100,000 of people scared. So I thought, this is like, we have to go out. Of course, there were no fun, no laughs, but still people were out because that's how terrorists lose. They don't put people to fear.
And the people of Paris hope to silence that fear with sounds of their music. They're also using very strong images. Let's show you again this live picture from Paris. This is the Eiffel Tower lit up in the colors of the national flag. People here remain very vigilant. They are still very uneasy about their safety, but all in all, you feel as though you can move around this city and not feel too worried about what's going to happen. People are not necessarily looking over their shoulders, but they're definitely making sure that they take extra precautions. David and Linda?
You know, Deborah, it's only been 72 hours ago that you and I were sitting right here as this was all unfolding. And the French are loving people. We saw them. The kisses will always be there. But they don't seem to be an angry people. Do you sense any anger in the people you've spoken with there?
You know, David, just a little bit of anger yesterday because people are angry with the terrorists taking innocent lives. So definitely some anger mixed in with the sense of determination. However, you're right. People here are very loving. They're very caring. Complete strangers are coming up to each other. They are hugging each other, kissing each other. They're praying together. This memorial behind me is Place de République, one of the largest memorials in the city. And people here just continue to come. As you said, it's 11 o'clock at night, and people continue to come to this memorial because they just want to be together to mourn.
You know, no matter what happened last week, it is still one of the, if not the greatest cities in the world. Deborah Morgan, more from you tonight at 6. We'll see you then.
Linda and David, I just approached some people at the memorial behind me, and you walk up to them and you just still see such a profound sense of sadness in their eyes. It's been 3 days since the attacks, but still very fresh for the people here. They have a sense of sadness, but also a sense of determination. Let's show you live again the picture of the Eiffel Tower here in Paris. It is lit up in red, white, and blue, the colors of the national flag. It is very important for the people here to stay strong and stay together. Today, as you said, I talked with 3 young women from our area about living here in Paris and how they feel about what happened since the attacks. The sounds of sirens permeate Paris, not uncommon for a big city. But now people stop to wonder where they're going. Has there been another attack?
When you're hearing that all the time, it's kind of a constant reminder of why they're around, of why there are so many sirens going around right now.
The sirens are at once reassuring of the increase in security, yet still scary for Emily Jackson and her friends Camille Souter and Maggie Lombardo. They are all from Chapel Hill and now live in Paris.
Of course, like my friends and I sort of joked about it, like, oh, we should go home now. So no, I don't want to leave yet. I feel like we have enough support and the security has been, you know, fine.
Like on a daily basis, I'm not scared. Like I'm not worried about taking the metro or the bus or anything. I think what scares me is just in like the grander scheme of things, just this type of extremism.
These 3 friends were celebrating Camille's birthday near the Bataclan concert hall the weekend before the attacks. It's the place to be for the younger crowd, an area of popular night spots and restaurants. They are so thankful they didn't go out this past Friday night.
I have like friends of friends who didn't make it, so it makes me feel very, very lucky that we chose to stay in that night.
For me, I'm a young person. Like that's something that I could very easily have been doing on Friday night. I mean, luckily I wasn't. So that's what makes me nervous, like just the you never know.
And because of the randomness of the attacks, they feel whether this happened in Paris or Chapel Hill, it keeps you on guard no matter where you live.
And people are reacting the same way I would imagine that people at home would react, like not wanting to completely stop their lives, but at the same time taking extra precautions because we just don't know what's going to happen next.
You can't be scared.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say, like, I'm not going to go out tonight because something could happen.
But it's definitely in the back of your mind, like sort of a hypervigilance.
These young women say social media was very helpful in getting word to their families instantly that they were okay, and that's how they continued to communicate a lot around here, by social media. Also, the women say that they have very supportive parents. They are getting a lot of support from back at home, so they're remaining steadfast and they are going to stay right here in Paris.
Now, still today, many Parisians remain on edge.
Some are angry about what happened there. Deborah Morgan continues our live coverage from Paris. And Deb, you spoke with a man from Cary who wasn't far from some of those attacks.
Gerald and Linda, that's right. And he, like many people, are just trying to get life back to normal here. But it's difficult. Nerves are still frayed, especially after you hear what's going on in Germany right now with another bomb threat. Many of the roads around the attack sites opened today for the first time. And it gave you a better look of the carnage that may have gone on inside of these attack sites. And I spoke with a Cary man. I met him at one of the sites where he wasn't far from the night that the gunman started firing. As roads reopen around the attack sites, mourners are trying to cover up the wounds. Flowers now sit in the holes made by gunfire Friday night. This is Le Caroline, a bar the attackers targeted first. They went to a Cambodian restaurant across the street next. 15 people died here.
People aren't laughing and as carefree as they were before.
Brian Zucker is from Cary. He's been working in France for the past few months as a compliance attorney for SAS. He wasn't far from Le Caroline when the gunman started firing.
A band was playing Johnny Be Good, and people were dancing around the tables and having a great time. And then I got a text from a friend saying there had been a shooting, and the band stopped and people quit dancing. And then everybody realized it was a series of attacks. There were people in the streets and on the sidewalks talking, and a lady crying on a balcony, and some guys groaning on another balcony by hers, and people yelling down to the street trying to find out what had happened. It just felt like the most warm and loving place you could ever be. And then all of a sudden, all that was just lost.
Zucker says it was shocking, and he's left with a feeling of wanting to help. He was part of a moment of silence at SAS France, was part of a discussion on the difficult issue of balancing security and liberty, and heard thanks for support from America.
And they all talked about how they were really glad that people on Facebook in the U.S. had been putting the red, white, and blue stripes on their profile pictures and being very supportive. Yeah, it really did.
Well, speaking of social media, Brian Zucker told us that he found a poem among the memorial there at La Caroline, and it talked in French about how people need to ride their bikes, let your hair go in the wind, listen to music, do things that you love to do, and that's the sentiment that the people here in Paris are trying to convey tonight. Linda and David, we wanted to catch up with John Yeager to see where he did that Skype interview with Brian Mims, and he invited us to his apartment, and he also invited a friend of his because he wanted to talk about how the international students here are getting through this together.
I was sitting right here, yeah. Yeah, this wall was the backdrop.
John Yeager of Apex and his friend Omar Kurdi from Saudi Arabia have been spending a lot of time together in their small apartments in Paris over the past few days.
We didn't start worrying until they told us, hey, we're closing, you guys should go home. And that was like, okay, well, we started worrying. We started getting more news that there was another shooting, and my house was the closest to where we were at, so we said, okay, let's stick to small roads and let's go to my house and wait this out, see how it happens.
And then when the reports of the shootings at Place de la République started coming in, I left my house and went to Omar's.
Their group of about 11 friends is made up of students from several countries, including Spain, Norway, South Africa.
You form this little community and you kind of just want to stick together, so we're making sure everyone was okay, and it was nice that we were all together, making sure, comforting each other that way too.
The majority of the night we were just hunkered around the small TV watching listening to the French news.
It's a tragedy across the board, and everyone feels that tragedy, and living in Paris, it's obviously very close to us regardless where you're from.
15-minute bike ride? Yeah.
Omar and John were part of a benefit Friday night for an organization they started at their school to help refugees. At least one of the Paris attackers is said to have gained entry to Europe as a refugee. So these international students knew this would be a hot political topic.
Immediately after things started to calm down, our first reaction was obviously like, worry and sympathy for the victims. But the second thing, as students of international affairs and international security, the first thing that we were thinking was how this is going to change the discussion around the refugees.
And the students say that they want to set up a forum somewhere on campus where they can talk about a lot of these hot topic issues, such as how to deal with ISIS, the French response, and the refugees. So they're very much involved in the political conversation going on here in France. Linda?
Deborah, quick question. What has security been like in Paris today?
Linda, I think I saw more security and police officers today than I have since I've been here. Just a few moments ago, some police officers with very large guns, they very openly carry them around here, walked by our live shot location here at Place de la République. And also earlier today, near our hotel, there were military men as well as police officers walking around. They are walking the streets. We also saw some yesterday on horseback. But today especially, I asked a woman, does this make you feel safer? And she said, really, not really, because they can't be everywhere, and they're just so worried that yet another attack will happen. But the roads reopened around the attack sites today, so we took Brian Zucker down to one. He wasn't very far away at all from where the attacks first happened. As roads reopen around the attack sites, mourners are trying to cover up the wounds. Flowers now sit in the holes made by gunfire Friday night. This is La Caroline, a bar the attackers targeted first. They went to a Cambodian restaurant across the street next. 15 people died here.
People aren't laughing and as carefree as they were before.
Brian Zucker is from Kerry. He's been working in France for the past few months as a compliance attorney for SAS. He wasn't far from La Caroline when the gunman started firing.
A band was playing Johnny Be Good, and people were dancing around the tables and having a great time. And then I got a text from a friend saying there had been a shooting, and the band stopped and people quit dancing. And then everybody realized it was a series of attacks. There were people in the streets and on the sidewalks talking, and a lady crying on a balcony, and some guys groaning on another balcony by hers, and people yelling down to the street trying to find out what had happened. It just felt like the most warm and loving place you could ever be. And then all of a sudden, all that was just lost.
Zucker says it was shocking, and he's left with a feeling of wanting to help. He was part of a moment of silence at SAS France, was part of a discussion on the difficult issue of balancing security and liberty, and heard thanks for support from America.
And they all talked about how they were really glad that people on Facebook in the U.S. had been putting the red, white, and blue stripes on their profile pictures and being very supportive. Yeah, it really did.
Young people in Paris are using memorials as a gathering place to mourn since the attacks.
WRAL's Deborah Morgan is in Paris tonight. As she reports, many people are coming to express their emotions as they try to cope with this tragedy.
This is one of the largest gathering places in Paris today. It's a memorial set up right in front of the Bataclan. And when people come here, they are so emotional. Sometimes they find it difficult to put into words how they're feeling.
It's very hard for everyone, and it was a place I used to go maybe 5 or 6 times.
Lucy Waite has come to this memorial since the Friday attacks. She used to live nearby and feels she easily could have been among the victims.
I moved 1 year ago, and I'm like, could be me. Yeah. So I feel lucky. But I feel really sad.
This could be me, this could be my friend, this could be my mother.
This Parisian brought his mother to the spot at the Bataclan, a place he once played with his own band 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It feels like this is everybody in Paris who is feeling.
We really need to share this pain. I was supposed to be there with my friends, and I think I'm lucky.
Christian Yomo says he hasn't slept in days.
It's terrifying. I'm so scared. We are not safe anymore. It's like a nightmare continuing because we think that it is not over.
The attacks happened at places where young people go, to concerts, bars, and restaurants. These young Parisians take it personally.
Yeah, they try to attack young French people. Because if it's a war, it's going to be a war with our generation. So they try to afraid us.
The people of Paris see the support coming from across the world.
This is important for us. It is helping us to move, to continue our lives. We need to connect together because we're stronger together.
Deborah Morgan joins us now live from Paris.
And Deb, I would imagine there tonight people are maybe even a little frustrated that they don't know yet if this mastermind of the attacks was killed overnight.
David, a little frustrated, but at the same time very relieved because it appears that police stopped an imminent attack just in the nick of time. So I think people are definitely feeling a little more secure today because of the raids. Believe it or not, 3,000 extra patrols on the streets here. And the people have a lot of faith in their government as well as their president and the police force here. But it is impacting tourism. 20% occupancy down here at the hotels, and Paris is the third most visited city in the world, and the businesses are definitely feeling the effects of these attacks. Café Hugo is a typical gathering place in Paris. Friends meet for coffee and the company.
Life goes on, it's okay.
Before the terrorist attacks, these businesses were filled with tourists and Parisians. Helen Huchet says business at her cafe is down 50%. Employees have had to cut hours.
As you can see, there is 3 or 4 people on the terrace. It's really quiet. Every day I work 10 hours per day, 12 hours, depends of the frequency. So now it's been like 5-6 hours, and all of the rota is changing because of nobody's coming.
But here in France, it's a little one.
Antoine Desmaillet and his friends say the increased security around Paris helps them feel safe. But they understand how others don't, because they're not ready to get back to normal yet.
Yeah, it's empty. It's kind of empty, but it's normal. Like people want to stay at home and to be protected, to be safe.
Normally, it's like almost fully booked on the terrace, not outside because we are beautiful weather actually. So now it's really too quiet and too sad.
Now, economists do expect the tourism to recover pretty quickly because the city will rebound as it has in the past with other attacks. But they do expect it may take a little bit longer for the people to feel safe again, to come back out into the cafes and the businesses and just be back to normal again. David?
You know, Deb, we talked early this morning, and I asked you what it was like being in a part of the city where you were, and just a mile or so away, the raid was going on.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible, but it amazingly felt as though it was very far away. It was just on the outskirts of Paris, about 20 minutes away from where I was today. So we heard a lot of sirens today, definitely more police activity, but we did not go into the neighborhood where that raid took place, David.
This park between Paris landmarks the Louvre and Champs-Élysées is a beautiful place to come relax and enjoy the sun. It may seem hard to believe the raids of the terrorist suspects today happened about 20 minutes away. Tourists and locals alike are not deterred.
Still wanted to come, and it was too tough to change tickets and everything at the last second, so here I am.
We got the sun and the grass, and we're with friends.
This group of art and cultural students met here for a picnic, as they say, to chill.
We can rest, we can talk, we can get away from what's happened. Quite tense here, but we can still live peacefully.
Close by, armed military and police officers carry large guns. They stroll the grounds in groups, intentionally and intently, as a show of force. It helps make these tourists from Miami feel safe.
I'm having a great time. Everything's running smoothly, lots of beautiful things to see, and I feel pretty safe, lots of security around.
Kadame Abrams' mother doesn't know she's here in Paris. After our report, she knows now.
She told me don't come because of the attack. We had a trip planned, and based on the news, we were just like, you know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The security is very high here, so I feel safe, but she will not be happy that I am here.
You know, that's really the first laughter that we have heard in days around here. Some of the visitors are having a great time as they visit the City of Lights. I spoke with a woman from Canada who says she has been to Paris for 30 different times and enjoys it every time she comes. She loves the city, and she hopes that she can spread the word that the city is safe and that people should visit. We have a live picture now right here where I am at Place des Républiques, where the memorial continues to grow here. People continue to come. It is now midnight here in Paris, and you can see all the people, all the candles flickering. It is going to be quite some time before the city heals. David?
Yeah, I'm sure the healing process is going to take a long time, Deb, but a lot of people I've spoken with here as recently as about 2 hours ago have said, I would give anything to be there right now. In fact, I think it's time to book a trip. So hopefully that mood will continue and people will continue to come to one of the greatest cities on the planet.
The city of Paris remains under a state of emergency. There's extra security on the streets, and that's helping some people feel safer. And they're finding determination through their cheers. This is how the people here want you to remember the sights and sounds of Paris. Peaceful, united. Not this. 5 days of unease. The attacks on Friday to raids today. 3,000 extra security forces in Paris helped to calm frayed nerves.
Yeah, we trust the French police, we trust the government, and it's gonna be better in the future.
We have seen a lot of police around. We're not too worried, honestly. We're trying to be mindful of like certain neighborhoods that they're raiding and stuff like that. But as far as the tourist attractions, there's a lot of security, so I feel pretty safe.
Tourists continue to visit the beautiful historic museums and landmarks in Paris. Just fewer visitors are coming. As Giuseppe takes care of his pigeons, he feeds the soul of this neighborhood with an amazing picture of trust and mutual admiration.
Well, it's still a great city, and we've got a good patrimony of culture and art.
Do you feel safe?
I feel very safe. I mean, you know, they say lightning doesn't strike twice, you know, and I think with the world's attention and all the military and police around, it seems pretty safe.
Paris is the third most visited city in the world. With tourism off since the attacks and locals staying home, businesses are hurting. This cafe has seen a drop in customers of 50%.
Now it's really too quiet and too sad. And it's the mind, it's like a question.
Experts believe tourism and the economy will bounce back rather quickly. Visitors may feel safe to come here to the City of Lights again, but gaining back the confidence of the people who live here may take much longer. In Paris, Deborah Morgan, WRAL News.